Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we are going to talk specifically about the the session 3 of Arbor Adventures and the adventures of the Sun Elf assassin Du Doulos. All right, and so when we last left off, Doulos had found his brother, hadn't spoken to him yet, and had found out that his brother was working with a human cartographer woman by the name of Voronway. Okay, and she is a human cartographer woman by the name of Voronway, and she is seeking the cursed blade that Doulos has, which is pretty much a lot of the reason he is an assassin, because this thing is wicked deadly, right? Because it's literally connected to the power of Vecna himself, right? And who has been recently diminished, because at this point in our campaign, this is happening directly after Vecna has been defeated and has gone through all the events in Vecna Eve of Ruin. Okay, and if you don't know what the events in Vecna Eve of Ruin are, I got an entire playlist here that tells you everything that happens in it. There you go. All right, because I read that book and did my review of it. So yeah, which is it was a fantastic D&D canon hardback. So he's now shocked. He's heard all this, right? However, last we talked, Duolos had solved this investigation about the river, and the river, there wasn't enough water in this river that was less than a mile away from this mine. As Duolos finds out that Voronway is seeking the blade which he is actually carrying, and that Voronway wants to be killed, to go to Vecna to have a will challenge with Vecna and to essentially take over Vecna and all of his power and own his body, right? And she'll be doing that with her own soul, because her body is dead, killed by Thove, right? So she has this plan to defeat Vecna in a will challenge in Vecna's own body, right? So Voronway, man, she don't play. She's a very serious lady, right? While all this is happening, suddenly he's 60 feet down in this garnet mine. He's on this level. So Doulos is listening, like surreptitiously listening, and he hears above a mighty crash and splashes of water. He immediately knows why he is hearing this. He solved the mystery. The river had been dammed by the woodcutters, and they had been building up water for a few days, and then they chopped that off, and they are now flooding the garnet mine so that every dwarf in the garnet mine is going to die, right? The woodcutters have added up to here with the dwarf miners. The dwarf miners cut them out from buying, previously the dwarf miners would buy timber from them, right? And then the dwarf miners found a way to make these arches. Now, the reality is, it's not just the money, right? Once the dwarves no longer had to pay the woodcutters for any services, or for the main service they got from them, then a lot of bad blood started happening, and the dwarf miners were kind of feeling themselves, because they had been able to do something. They had been able to do something which 100% defeated their reliance at all on the woodcutters. And so they started to be very rude to the woodcutters. There were fights in the tavern. Some of the dwarves, right? Those are sturdy dudes, right? And some sturdy ladies, and they beat those woodcutters down, right? And so there was very real concern about everything that was happening, right? And so with all that, there was a lot of bad blood between them, and the woodcutters were finally like, we ain't having it anymore, and they were going to war with the dwarfs, right? So now Duolos is caught in a war that he had no part in. At this point, he's allied with the woodcutters, right? But, is his allyship gonna stick as he realizes the woodcutters are fully going to war with the dwarves? And Is he okay with these war tactics from the woodcutters? The woodcutters are, they're not like going, hey, you know, we're gonna, you know, take our woodcutting axes and fight you. They're literally drowning dwarves in a garnet mine as their opening gambit, right? So we ended chapter 3 with Duolos, his brother, and Vornway all about to die, with about 60 other dwarf miners that were in the mine as the mine was flooded, right? And they would all drown to death, right? So if Duolos cannot find a way out, it was definitely a cliffhanger. And as it stands, if Duolos does not have a plan, does not have an ability to overcome waves and waves of a flooding river in a mine, in a dwarf, 6 levels down in a dwarven mine, then he and his brother and Vornway are about to die, and many dwarves are about to die. So that's where we left it. Major cliffhanger. Thank you so much for letting me share my Arbor adventure. I'm extremely proud of this campaign that I'm running. These are some weird times, people, man. Get your D&D in where you can, right? It's tough. It's tough in these streets, man. I'm very proud to be running some really solid, top-notch Dungeons & Dragons using the Crown and Skull rules. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part's where I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.